Hi guys, I've just got into a scrap with Francis bot, the 2300 Filipino chess.com bot. Absolutely brutal, but I managed to scrape out a win. Here's how I did it. So it was a Caracan game. So we're looking back at this retrospectively. Let me know in the comments if you prefer me going through it live or like this, where I can show some of the engine lines and stuff. So Caracan, and yeah, normally white here just like defends his pawn, maybe, or like this even to defend the pawn. Here, Francis just baller just charges out with the knight, giving me this pawn in the center. Now gambits, the whole point is like you get a lead in development, but here, I don't know, I kick the knight, so not great. See, the engine says this here with the knight is a book move, but not all books are equal. You know, this is +1 for black immediately as soon as he gives away this pawn. It's just a free pawn. So he comes here, I just develop. Now there's a bit of a danger in trying to cling on to a pawn that you've just been gambited. But here I wanted to play the knight out anyway, so yeah, it's fine. They come out with the knight, add in more pressure to the pawn. And I just develop. And again, this is an okay square for the bishop anyway, so don't think this is hampering my position too much to just defend the pawn. So they come here with a devastating threat on f7. So I just slide back with the bishop, calmly defending it. And then next move, I can now, kick the knight, relieve some of this pressure on this square. They go back. And now, I just develop, trying to get the bishop out, maybe. I think the engine says slightly better was to just develop the knight. The engine tends to like knights before bishops, but I'm not going to kick off too much at myself. This, fine, just opening the bishop. And now I go for this 2-move maneuver, which I've just had a lesson where I was telling one of my students off for doing this sort of thing. And I've just done it myself. Like trading off the light square bishop here. The engine says it's a blunder. It's so tempting to go for this because it just double isolates their pawns. It opens up their king. But after this, and let's say I, develop, king goes here, rook comes here, and who's attacking who? It's very common when you give away one color square bishop, right? It opens up the light squares. But how do you attack on the light squares? With your deceased bishop, so it's no good. So yeah, I went for that. I've got a damage structure to play against, but I have given him some attacking chances with these open lines. So develop the bishop, he kicks me. Now, again, you could maybe argue to take and damage the structure again, but it's a similar argument that would open up more lines of attack for white. And already at this point, white isn't playing it for a solid endgame. White's playing it for a big, nasty attack on my king, So I slide back thinking, I go here, my bishop's passive, so the only move I've really got is here. Let's trade off his good bishop for my bad bishop, right? He comes into the center. Now, let me know in the comments what you would have played here, guys. Give you a couple of seconds to have a think. Pause if you like. But I thought this was a critical moment, so I go for this transformation. Because I get a nice outposted knight. I take one of their pawns, which was essentially connected, and take it to just be a completely isolated pawn with this trade. So I trade the queens first, thinking, let's get this into an endgame against this bad pawn structure here. And I'm up a pawn. So I centralize the knight. Now, the engine shows a psycho move. The engine says this is inaccurate. I wouldn't begrudge anyone that plays this move, though. It's just so human, so natural. The engine likes this, blocking in your other knight to just immediately put pressure on the pawn. It's a little psycho, but I just jump to the center, which is okay. And castle. So this was strange. Now, any human, I'm sure, would have just played knight into this beautiful outpost. And I was quite worried about that, to be honest. But luckily, the engine played here. I didn't think it was as strong, really. I just kicked the knight, they got back, and I don't know what was. The knight can't really move forward. I can just take, you know. So I developed the other knight. I'm not going to play this and allow them to, double isolate the pawns here. So I just centralized the rook on the open file. Normally how I win games, guys, I get a slight advantage, maybe a pawn or two, and then I just look to trade rooks on the open lines and grind out that endgame. So I go for this reroute, trying to put all pressure on this isolated pawn. Which, it's not just about winning the pawn though, is it? Like, look, their position is now a little passive defending this pawn. And that's just, I mean, there's hundreds of benefits to attacking, but that is another benefit to attacking. You can sometimes immobilize their pieces somewhat to a defensive role. I come back, hit the bishop. I'm trying to clear some space for the rooks to double up. My plan. They come in with the bishop. Now, I lift the rook here, right? But this isn't just a one-move threat. Oh, I'm attacking your rook. This is also serving like the wider purpose of it's a free tempi for me, and it allows me to double up the rooks. And their bishop is also a little bit dodgy in the corner here. So instead of doubling up straight away, spot the move for black here to try and trap the bishop. Give you a couple of seconds to pause the video. So I played this move just with the idea of swinging the rook over, right? And here, I don't know if white's got a reply. The engine just says, get active now with the rooks, you know? So the engine not showing a way to save the bishop. So I swoop in with the rook, gobble. And then, my knight's kicked here. I've got to reroute the knight. Maybe get back to the center. But first, let's make sure that I get this open file and there's no play for white at all. Just centralizing the knight. And now offering a trade of rooks with check. Swinging back with the knight. And a couple more moves. I just need to sort of consolidate here. I'm up a piece. Just need to get the rook to the open file. I keep banging on about it, but just a really nice, simple plan to make your life easy. So yeah, they get the open file here as I'm trying to reroute the knights. But in that time, I do get this move. Just trading off their knight, their biggest cause of mischief. And, they do get this though. They've got some pressure. So yeah, I'm winning, but it's a little bit uncomfortable until I can, trade these rooks. So I start coming across with my king, and bang, we hit the rook. They step back, and we've achieved our goal. We control the open file now. They trade, and this is a winning end game now. We charge up with the king. In desperation, they try and break through, but we just gobble it. And we push this pawn. And then king and queen endgames, guys. I always love to get the king in a box like this. And then swing around with the king. Like so. And then we've got this boomerang where we swing around with the queen. So that's how I managed to take down Francis. But a lot easier because he gave me that pawn in the opening. So good luck against Francis. Brutal. Took me 4 or 5 tries, I believe. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.